Our story begins with the introduction of Jonathan Harker, who we see the first several chapters of the book through his letters. Harker is from England, he's a solicitor and a lawyer, and he's engaged to Mina, whom we will meet later. He has been fortunate enough to acquire a real estate deal with Count Dracula from Transylvania, Romania, who wishes to buy another residence in England. Harker travels from England to Romania to visit the Count at his castle. On his way there, he stops to stay at an inn for the night, and the following day is approached by the woman who runs the inn, who begs him not to go to Transylvania and to just return home. When Harker refuses, she becomes very sad and gives him her crucifix hanging on a necklace. Even though this is not a part of Harker's religion, he felt it would be rude not to accept it, and so he took it from her. The way she acted and her willingness to give him something so personal makes him start to wonder just what he has gotten himself into. After a few more small alarming instances that make Harker uneasy to meet the Count, he finally reaches the castle. When he reaches the castle, he is greeted and invited inside, where he has a feast, and then after he eats is joined by Count Dracula, who is a tall, old man that has a long white mustache, pointed ears, exceptionally pale skin, and extremely sharp teeth. Harker shakes the Count's hand and is shocked by how strong his grip is, but by also how cold his skin is. The Count and Harker have a long discussion about the evil spirits that have, or are rumored to have, haunted Transylvania throughout history for several hours before Harker is shown to his room and he goes to sleep. When he wakes up, he finds a note from the Count, excusing himself for the next day and leaving Harker to wander the castle alone. Harker is shaving with a shaving mirror one day and is alarmed when the Count comes up behind him but has no reflection in the mirror. Harker accidentally cuts himself, causing the Count to lunge at his throat, only stopping when his skin comes in contact with the chain holding the crucifix around Harker's neck. Harker is very startled by this encounter, but the Count only warns him not to cut himself in this country. The next night, the Count and Harker have a very deep and interesting conversation about the history of Romania and the Dracula family, in which the Count retells the tales of great battles and the glories of his family name. Shortly after, the Count orders Harker to write 2 letters, one to his fiancée Mina, and the other to his employer, telling both of them that he will be extending his stay for 1 month. Harker does so, feeling as though he cannot refuse because of the Count's hospitality up to this point. One night, as Jonathan looks out the window, feeling trapped, he sees the Count crawling down the side of the wall. This leads Jonathan to question, what is the Count? The next day, upon the absence of the Count yet again, Jonathan goes to explore the castle and finds a locked room and forces the door open. Even though the Count has previously warned him against this, he falls asleep in the room. He wakes up, unsure of whether in a dream or not, and sees 3 beautiful women with inhumanly red lips. They lean in, and just as they are about to kiss Jonathan's neck, the Count breaks in, giving the women a half-smothered child and telling them that when he is done with Jonathan, they can kiss him all they want. Jonathan passes out and wakes up in his own bed the next morning. The next night, the Count makes Harker write 3 letters to both Mina and his employer, dated June 12th, 19th, and 29th, telling them that he has left the castle and he is safely on his way home. A few days later, some gypsies arrive at the castle, and Harker sees his opportunity to sneak a letter out. He slides the letter through a window to one of them, and later that night, the Count comes in with the letter in hand, saying that this is an insult to him. Eventually, Jonathan notices that some of his clothes have gone missing, and, looking out the window one night, he sees the Count crawling down the wall again, wearing his clothing and carrying another bundle like the one he gave the 3 women. This makes Harker very upset because the Count is using his stuff to commit despicable crimes. The next day, a woman comes to the castle gates, screaming, crying, and begging to have her child back. The gates are opened, and she walks into the courtyard, where she is greeted by a pack of wolves who devour her. Harker decides to take a chance and climbs the wall to Dracula's room. In it, he finds nothing but a pile of gold. Upon further inspection, he finds a long winding staircase leading down to a dark room where there are boxes of earth. He opens one of them to find the Count and is unsure of whether he is sleeping or dead. The next day, the Count tells Jonathan that he is allowed to leave on June 29th, but Harker begs to be allowed to leave immediately. The Count agrees and opens the front door, where Jonathan sees his path blocked by the pack of wolves.